Hey there, hi there, ho there, and welcome to Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time. Yeah, welcome back. We're here in the world of the story, and we're here for you to tell you a little bit about our lives and our stories and our stuffs. So wait a minute, who are we? Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm an improv actor.
I'm Jonathan, and I'm a screenwriter.
And I'm Cameron, and I'm an actor/writer.
Oh,
Whoa, wait a
what?
second.
You're not Les.
What? I'm not?
Uh-oh.
This is weird.
What happened? Les was here just a moment ago. No, that's not true. Les is out. He's on his storytelling road trip.
Les is touring with story.
Yeah, not with Finish My Story, but with his actual story. He always says, I'm Les, I'm a storyteller, and now you wonder why. It's because that's what he actually does.
He finished his own story and is taking it on the road.
Exactly.
And left us behind.
So we called up Cameron. Say hello to everyone, Cameron. Cameron, tell us a
Hello,
little about
everyone.
yourself.
I am a human being,
Okay, that's
and
good.
I'm
Questionable.
it is questionable. I'm half robot, probably. I'm Cameron. I've already said that. That's my name. I'm a girl, if you couldn't tell.
Ooh.
So we're adding some hashtag diversity.
Yes. We made sure.
I'm a writer and an actor, and I also like to sing and dance.
Yes, that's true. And Cameron's a little bit of a different. John writes mostly for film. Cameron is currently a television writer, which is why I was like, we should bring her in here. We like having a different kind of storyteller.
For diversity's sake.
Yeah.
Bring in another
Bring in
writer.
another writer,
Yeah.
exactly. And Cameron's not just here for no reason. No, Cameron's here because if you like Finish My Story, we got something coming up the pipeline for you that Cameron will be involved in. So if you like Cameron more than you like us, which will probably happen.
You're already going to preface this with that?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know what you think yet, but if you do like it eventually, there will eventually be an announcement that has to do
The
with
announcement's
this group.
coming very soon. Well, we're starting. There'll be another podcast hitting your podcast airwaves very soon. Very soon. So
That's the
keep
rumor,
your. That's the. Yeah, Then so Cameron will be involved.
Yeah.
It'll be the three of us that are here, doing something different. It'll still be narrative based. We'll still be telling a story, but it's a very different kind of story.
We'll leave that for later.
Mm-hmm. So hey guys. So what narratives are you into? What have you been watching or listening to or that kind of stuff?
Well, I feel like you always ask us first, and I say us less than myself. But I
Mhm.
want to hear from you first, Peter.
Oh,
I'm going to
thank
put
you.
you in front of
put
everyone.
me on the spot.
Yeah.
There we go.
What have you been watching lately? What sort of narratives have you been indulging in?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's the same
It's the
question.
same question that I always ask. Well, last week was the Oscars. I've been watching some Oscar movies. Shape of Water, of course, which we talked about. I saw that again. I rewatched Coco because I just wanted to cry, and I got it on Blu-ray, and I was just like, okay. But we had talked about that before on this podcast too. Jessica Jones dropped
Season 2?
Season 2. I've only watched the first episode yet, but I'm very excited. Was it a coincidence or was it intentional that it dropped on International Women's Day?
Oh, I think that was entirely on purpose.
Because you normally Netflix shows release on a Friday, and this one released on a Thursday, so I'm guessing that was why.
Mhm.
But I'm very excited to keep that going.
How's your movie of the posters sort of thing?
Oh
going?
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, guys, I got the. In case you forgot, I got 100 graded movie posters that you have to watch before you die, and I'm slowly watching through them. And
Are you still scratching off?
I'm
the
still
posters?
scratching off the ones. I decided to scratch off some of the ones that I didn't really want to watch again. Like Forrest Gump. I don't care. I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. And if I've seen anything in the last 3 or 4 years, I've scratched it off.
Isn't it crazy?
But-
Forrest Gump beat Shawshank Redemption for
That's-
Best Picture.
ugh.
Yeah,
What
I
a
don't
shame.
understand.
Classic Oscars
Crying
voting. Like,
shame.
baby boomers loving their nostalgia.
Mhm.
It's awful.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Yeah.
But I did rewatch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is one of my favorites. So I love the book and I love the movie, and it's one of those few movies where it's different enough from the book that it's actually not a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, they clearly tried to make a somewhat different product, and I love that. Because the whole book is through Chief's eyes, and I think that's a very important part of what the book is. But it was nice to have it. I don't know. It's a different story, but it's the same story, but it's different. I like that.
It's a great movie.
Great film. Cameron, what have you been watching?
The Bachelor just ended this past week,
Bachelor is
and
amazing. Yeah.
it was nuts and wild and crazy, and
I love that.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was a weird season overall.
How so?
And I consider this narrative because it's
Sure.
100% scripted.
Scripted,
You
yeah.
know it. Like, we already know all this. He left the girl that he proposed to for the
What?
runner-up. And they filmed the entire breakup of him breaking it to her, and they posted the unedited footage.
It was
Wow,
like
that's
online.
brutal.
it was like watching Network, but in real life.
Yeah.
Where they just let this scene go as long as they could. Where it's just like, really, it was 40 minutes of basically like unedited footage where you'd get one side of the screen was his POV of like
Oh my
of
Yeah.
him, and the other it was like a sliding
It was
door.
That's
uncomfortable,
terrifying.
and she's sobbing in the bathroom at one point, and he just wouldn't leave. Like, she kept telling him, she kept saying, like, just go, leave, I don't want you here, and he was just sticking around.
Like, are
It
you
was
okay?
so
Can we talk?
Yeah.
Are you all right? And
Oh my God.
he would say all the time he's a race car driver, but I don't really believe him because he doesn't understand what
drive?
just go means.
no,
Oh man, that
Yeah.
hits too close to home.
it was rough.
Cameron, just a little bit more about you. You're wearing a Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back shirt, and this is a fun fact for all you out there,
Nerd
including
alert.
you, Cameron.
Nerd alert.
No, she doesn't know this yet. The microphone you're using, because Les is out. Les has his own microphone. I had to borrow a microphone from the voice of Princess Leia in all of the cartoons currently.
What?
Yes, you're using Princess Leia's microphone.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
There we go.
Wait, that's actually really cool.
There you go.
I'm very into that.
Thank you, Julie, for letting us borrow your microphone.
Is there like an equivalent of like Eskimo brothers or sisters, but with voiceover equipment?
Yeah, like larynx sisters.
Larynx twins?
Yeah, larynx twins.
That
John-
sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
It does.
John, what you into?
I've been doing a lot of writing in the last couple of weeks, so I've been like rewatching things for inspiration or for just sort of like research. I rewatched Ex Machina, the Alex
okay.
Garland sci-fi movie, because I've been on such an Annihilation kick. I
Nice.
talked about Annihilation last time. I'll talk about it again. Science fiction movie that's really slow and lets you sort of think along as it's going, as to you have to piece together what's happening and take what the movie means to you by the end of it. I've
Sure.
seen it 3 times now. Each time it's like a different experience. Sort of how Phantom Thread, each time you watch it, it's a different genre of film. But yeah, those two are pretty much the main things. And rewatching Paul Thomas Anderson, which if you know me, I'm always watching Paul Thomas Anderson. PTA,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parent Teachers Association.
There we go. Or Parent Teachers Anonymous.
Is that
Yeah, like
a-
they're having a problem.
Like a
with-
like
sex
the
group?
kids, well, like, oh, we don't want to have kids in our lives, but we're stuck.
But we are both parents and,
And
teachers.
Sounds good. Hey, so let's get into it. Again, this is Finish My Story. We never did this yet, where we try to tell narratively complex stories, as I said.
One line.
at a time.
And
Wow, that was
nice
seamless.
work.
Thank
Cameron
you.
picked right into it.
I'm
We didn't even
patting
give her a
myself
heads
on the
up.
back.
Pew pew. And we do some different things other than just tell the story one line at a time. Like,
Story pause.
wait, what's a story pause?
Story pause is when we just need to take a break in the narrative, either to elaborate on what was just said, clarify what was just said, or to make fun of the person who just said what was just said.
Let's be honest, that's it 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And how do we get back into it once the story has been paused?
Well, the person who paused said story will have to say, story resume.
Or resume story.
Thank you, Peter.
And we have one other thing. What's it called?
Story punishment.
That's correct. And Cameron, what is a story punishment? Explain it to us.
If you forget something,
Yeah.
or do something wrong,
Or just screw
if
it up.
you do a wrong thing,
Yeah.
then you have to do a stupid thing.
Exactly. And how we do that is we give you a
Bing.
bing,
Bing.
and then we'll count up the bings at the end. Lately, we've only been getting 1 if 0 bings, so we haven't had like a close race. And then the person with the most bings gets punished. And you can vote for our punishment on our social media platforms, which is Finish My Story Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and Finish Story Cast on Twitter. Polls are up right now. They're almost over for Les's story punishment when you hear this. it'll be you got like one more day to vote if you're listening the day this episode drops.
Polls are open.
Cameron, good luck, because we found that generally we get punished less because the longer we do this, the less we make mistakes. So as it is your first time,
Yeah,
be
I'm
careful
prepared.
out there.
Is that actually getting like better at the podcast or telling stories on the fly, or is it just because the fear of being punished is so deeply embedded in our psyche now that I will
Maybe.
just avoid things that I don't remember from the story entirely and steer it in a new direction. So
You've done that sometimes. We got to stop doing that. But I guess that's fine.
don't you tell me how to live my life. You don't know me. Actually, you do know.
I feel like I know you.
You know me. Cameron doesn't know me.
Yeah.
Cameron, you don't know me.
So,
Our first line this week,
yeah,
since we do have a guest,
yeah.
we are going to be asking, we'll just ask now, Cameron, what's your favorite movie?
Dirty Dancing.
Oh,
Dirty Dancing.
not Havana Nights.
No.
Just classic.
Yeah, no.
With
just
the
give me Patrick
Sways.
Swayze.
I think Havana Nights gets a bad rap.
Yeah, it just
It
it
was
doesn't,
nighttime.
That was a
doesn't
test.
hold up to Dirty
Horrible movie.
Dancing.
You are not honest.
There we go. Okay, good. So, so Cameron, we'll use that. We'll start. We'll have you start, right?
Okay,
that
yeah.
makes sense. Do you want to? How's it gonna go?
The order?
The order, if you will.
Well, the order we will go
Mm-hmm.
is we'll start with Cameron.
Okay.
She'll give the first line
Mhm.
from her favorite film.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll pass it over to Peter.
Okay. Then I'll continue.
And then it'll go to me.
Then you.
And then back to Cameron.
Then it's Cameron again.
Yes. And then it's Peter.
Okay.
And then I'll go back to me.
Cameron, who's after that?
Me?
Yeah. And then who's
I did it.
And then who's after that?
You, Peter.
Okay, good. So she gets it.
This really should be in some way a visual. We should record the podcast because there's so many things going
Going on
on
in
visually. Cameron, on
Yeah.
your face.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Just like, oh dear God. Oh, it's my turn. Oh,
She's
shit.
a screen actor, so she's definitely got that control of her facial emotions.
Yeah,
on
sure.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say
Sure.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's just say
Control.
Yeah.
And we have anything to add before we get into it?
Do we have anything to add before we get into it?
No. I'm asking you.
I don't know. Is there something else we should say
Well,
about
you-
ourselves before getting into this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Then let's do it.
Hi, everybody. This is your cousin Brucey.
And don't you think it's a great day to be alive and be celebrating our great, wonderful nephew, Jim?
Jim, which was short for Jamantha, turned over in his bed and hit snooze on the radio alarm.
It was way too early for Jim to be up, especially on a Saturday.
But he had forgot to turn off his radio alarm the night before from his normal work week.
Today, being Jim's birthday, he'd wanted to snooze and sleep in like on most Saturdays. But at the foot of his bed was an envelope addressed to him from his Uncle Brucey.
He hadn't seen his Uncle Brucey in quite a while, so he wasn't really sure how the envelope got there.
But he did have a great respect for his uncle, who years ago had pre-recorded a message for him to wake up to in the morning so he would feel celebrated every day.
But after the fallout between Jim and Uncle Brucey, they hadn't spoken in some time, which made this message queued up on his alarm rather strange. So he reached for the envelope.
The envelope had a big wax seal on it with a crest that he didn't recognize. What could this crest be, he wondered.
He plumbed the depths of his knowledge of 16th century medieval crests and 18th century Irish family crests, but couldn't think of anything, so he just opened it.
Dearest Jamantha, the letter stated, today being your 28th birthday, I hence therefore have decided to create a series of clues for you to find your gift.
The first clue you will find in the kitchen, somewhere in the refrigerator.
Jim was perplexed but intrigued. So he threw on some boxers because he slept in the nude, headed downstairs to his kitchen, and opened the refrigerator.
Jim was not good at finishing letters in their entirety and had stopped in the middle of the letter. But at the mention of kitchen, he just had to see what was prepared for him.
Inside the fridge, there was an entire roasted chicken. He loved roasted chicken, and so this was a pleasant surprise.
Wow, he thought to himself. Uncle Brucey really outdid himself. Maybe I can forget the breaking and entering as I dig into this breakfast chicken.
The breaking and entering would be an easy thing to forgive Uncle Brucey for, but it would be harder to forgive him for the thing he had done to Jamantha so many years before, which will be brought up later.
But for now, Jamantha repressed those memories as he ripped off a leg of the chicken and ate it.
But as he began to chew, he noticed something strange about this chicken. This chicken seemed to be cooked with saffron, a very rare and exotic spice that he had never seen used but for once before.
This must be the first clue, Jim thought to himself, and I'm very thankful that it was not hidden inside the cavity of said breakfast chicken.
He recalled the one other time he'd seen saffron being used in cooking, and he hurried to his friend Marina's house.
Marina was a very good friend of his and lived only 4 houses down. While she was similar in age, Marina was an experienced culinary artist.
Who had grown accustomed to seeing Jim in just his boxer briefs and therefore had a change of clothes for him to wear upon arrival.
She handed him a shirt that had a giant picture of Snoopy on it and some cargo shorts from the early 2000s. And she invited him in so they could talk about why he was there so early on a Saturday morning.
It's so good to see you, Maria. It feels like it's been forever, even though it was just last week. I don't know, time flies. Anyway, I'm here for a bit of a strange reason. Remember that time you cooked that amazing dish with saffron about 2 years ago for me and my Uncle Brucey?
Bing. You called her Maria.
Yep.
I said, Maria.
Yeah, you said Maria. Her name is Marina.
Oh, We fucking paused the podcast for 20 minutes.
Based on, I'm listening to this episode along with the audience, okay, and I don't know what you're talking about with the edit. We very seamlessly went from one end of the story to the other, and you messed up the name. That's a bing. It's a bing.
That is.
You assholes.
Yeah. So that's one for Peter, and we're gonna do a story resume. Marina welcomed Jim into her room/house and brought him into the kitchen, where she had a very nice kitchen because she was a chef.
These are my herbs and spices, she said, as she showed him an extensive spice rack that had tarragon and rosemary and saffron.
Why do you care to ask about that one time and the saffron dish? I do remember, but why bring it up now, after all these years?
Well, Jim started between bites of his breakfast chicken. Today is my birthday, and my Uncle Brucey left me a letter on the foot of my bed with a bunch of clues. And the first clue was some saffron cooked breakfast chicken. And I need to know, for backstory's sake, what else was made with the saffron, because it's going to lead me to my next clue. And also I have more to read in this letter.
Marina hesitated. She had not thought about that saffron-infused night in a long time. And she wasn't sure she wanted to think about it now. It brought up so many unrequited feelings.
You see, Marina used to be in love with Jim. And that night, she had planned to confess her love. Which is why she used saffron, a noted aphrodisiac. But Jim brought his Uncle Brucey along for some reason.
In fact, it was Uncle Brucey who had left the Snoopy t-shirt and cargo pants circa early 2000s at Marina's home.
That must be the clue, Jim thought, as he remembered the Snoopy shirt being his uncle's as well. Maybe I'm supposed to go to Camp Snoopy. That's at Knott's Berry Farm.
Story pause. If you have not been to Knott's Berry Farm, get on it.
I haven't been to Knott's Berry Farm.
That's a shame.
You're a damn fool.
I've been to the other 3 in L.A.
Other two?
Not 3 theme park. 3
Disney,
major theme
Universal, Six
parks.
Flags.
There you go.
Go to Knott's. Knott's is my favorite.
And Knott's is cheap. This podcast is brought to you by Knott's Berry Farm.
Ooh, we got a new sponsor. Cameron brought us a new sponsor.
Do you like boysenberries?
What a weird berry.
Created by Knott's Berry Farm.
I like boys and berries.
There you go.
Does that count?
But together they're poison berries. Story resume. Story pause. Do you like chicken?
Yeah, because
And
their
not
fried
just
chicken
breakfast
is dope, man.
I love breakfast chicken.
And they've got some
regular
good.
chicken.
They've got some good rainbow cake
Okay.
too.
At Knott's Berry Farm.
Oh yeah, no, I go for the food sometimes, like specifically for their fried chicken.
I would lie if I said that I did not specifically go to Knott's for the food.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I mean, you're laughing, but it's a very serious thing.
This is not a joking matter.
I have driven from Los Angeles, from Hollywood, to Knott's Berry Farm solely for the chicken, and
Dude,
stood in
like,
line for the chicken.
You get the chicken. Their baked beans are really good. You get a slice of cake.
Story resume.
Story pause. I don't think you've grasped just how good this meal is at Knott's Chicken. Right, you get really good soup
Yeah.
and the biscuits.
Oh, the mashed potato, they do chicken gravy. So it's like the same chicken that they make the fried chicken with. It's real good.
And the best part is if you don't finish your dinner chicken, you can have breakfast chicken.
Breakfast chicken.
Yeah.
Just no saffron.
Story resume. So Jim collected the cargo shorts and said, Marina, you don't have to tell me anything else. I've actually got the clue already. I thought it would have something to do with saffron, but I think it just wanted to get me here. All right, I'm going to go now. Very nice to see you. But Marina said, wait!
But it was too late, for as Jim had reached into one of the many cargo shorts pockets and pulled out a letter written to him from his Uncle Brucey.
You found the letter began. Good job. Marina will tell you everything you need to know if you just ask nicely.
Marina, I just read this letter, and it tells me you'll tell me everything I need to know. What do I need to know?
Marina took a big, exasperated breath and readied herself for what she was about to admit to Jamantha. It was many years ago, but your Uncle Brucey and I
Had a secret child. And that's the story on that.
Story pause. Damn, Cameron. Damn. Coming in with a fire.
I believe that's what we now trademark on Finish My Story podcast is a damrin.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that.
Well, you didn't.
You beat me to it. You were just a little bit past there.
Well, the fastest person
Wins.
gets to claim the pitch.
There we go. The Dameron. All right.
You have to resume the story. You
I
can't
will.
just, okay.
Story resume.
Thank you, Peter.
This was before you and I really became friends, and it has held me back all these years from telling you how I feel about you. But that night with the saffron, I was going to tell you.
Yeah, okay, Jim said. But what does this have to do with me and my birthday, which is today, and I mentioned that earlier, and you still haven't wished me happy birthday?
Well, sorry if I was a little preoccupied with secret revelations and such, Marina said. But this has to do with your birthday because you and the secret child have the same birthday.
And I'm sure that's where Brucey has hid your next clue. Not inside the baby, just not inside the child, just near him, like at his home. But before you leave, I have to tell you, I can't wait any longer. I
wish you a happy birthday. And this was enough for Jim.
Jim rushed out of the house as a single tear rolled down Marina's cheek.
I will always love you, she whispered to herself.
Jim tossed the bare chicken leg onto the street and ran back to his home to read the rest of the clue and get his keys to go find the mystery child that he's related to.
He found the letter back in his bedroom where he had left it and read the second line, which said, Jim, I knew you weren't going to read past the first clue, which is why I didn't bother hiding the fact in this letter that Marina and I have a secret child. He lives 3 blocks down from you. Go find him.
So Jim folded up the letter, put it back on his bed without reading any more of it, ran downstairs, grabbed the other leg of the breakfast chicken, and headed out to the address listed.
Jim feverishly knocked furiously on the front door of the house, which, even though he had driven past it many times, never thought that his own family would be inside. But the door crept open slowly, and he saw a familiar face.
It was the face of his sister, who knew about all of this and never bothered to tell him.
Sam! What are you doing here? But Sam, short for Samothy, turned away from him.
If you're here for me to wish you a happy birthday, you're too late, because I already said happy birthday once today, and I won't say it again.
I need to see our uncle's secret child, Jim said. And I'd like to talk to him since he's my birthday twin.
Oh, that's why you're here? Oh, okay. Usually you're such a selfish person, Jim, that I just assumed you were here only for your own selfish reasons. But if you want to see your cousin? / kind of nephew, because I'm taking care of him like a mother? Yeah, right this way.
Sam, this isn't about me. I do want to see my cousin, because he may hold the secret as to where my gift is for my birthday.
Sam took him down the hallway of the house to a small room decorated with Muppet drawings. And there sat exactly the person he had wanted to see.
A 10-year-old child who looked exactly like him.
Sam pulled Jim aside at the threshold of the door and said, "This may be quite difficult for him, so it's best not to interrupt his Muppet playing time." And Jim stormed past and interrupted the Muppet time.
"How could you?" said the 10-year-old. Jim then noticed that there was a Kermit sock puppet on one of the kids' hands and Miss Piggy on the other, and he realized that he had interrupted something truly creative and fun. But it was too late.
"How could you interrupt our time here playing?" the Kermit puppet said. "Yeah, how could you interrupt it, you bad, bad man?" the Miss Piggy puppet said.
"Quiet, Kermit. Miss Piggy. I'm talking to this little boy now."
At then occurred to Jim that he actually didn't even know the little boy's name, which he probably should have found out by this point. But he decided to ask the little boy what his name was.
"What's your name, little boy?" Jim said.
In a non-threatening way.
My name, the little boy said, is Rolf, short for Rolf Dolfo.
"Well, Rolf, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Jim, your cousin, or maybe your uncle." But as Jim looked at Rolf, a thought occurred to him. What if he isn't my nephew? What if he's...
my second cousin once removed? That would make us much closer. Rolf, do you know where my present is? Did your dad tell you? Do you have a clue for me? Is this like The Amazing Race, but birthday edition? Do you have anything for me?
Rolf smiled and slowly took off his Kermit puppet hand and said, "Everything you need to know is right here."
"Yes! Investigate my love!" the Miss Piggy puppet said, still on his other hand.
Jim, enraged by Miss Piggy's sensuous voice, ripped the puppet off of Rolf's hand and tossed her to the corner of the room.
"What do you have to tell me?" Jim yelled at the Kermit puppet, feeling more than a little ridiculous.
"Dude," Rolf said, "just look inside of it."
Jim, thinking that Rolf was talking about something more grand or wiser than a 10-year-old might say, looked to his own self and patted his heart. "Do you mean from within?" he asked Rolf.
"Nah, man, I mean inside the puppet," Rolf said, feeling like maybe this grown-up was not very smart.
So Jim dug his hand up Kermit's back and found a piece of paper. He pulled it out and opened it to reveal a DNA paternity test with his name on it.
"Do you know what this paper says?" Jim said to Rolf, confused at the entire situation. "This says that my Uncle Brucey is actually my father Brucey."
Jim couldn't believe his eyes or his words that he had just said. And he then realized he had never read the third clue that his father had written to him on that first letter.
So Jim picked up the paternity test, shoved it in his pocket, and ran out of the room, leaving Rolf and his Muppets behind, back to his house, opened the letter, and found the third line, which said, "By now, you found I am your father. But have you read the other side of the paternity test?"
Forgetting that the paternity test was crumpled up and shoved into his own pocket, Jim ran back to the house from whence he ran from and looked around for the test.
His sister Sam had no idea what was going on as he ransacked her house looking for the paternity test and disturbing Rolf's puppet game that he had picked back up.
Finally, Jim threw his hands into his pockets in a fit of despair to find the paternity test, said, "Oh yeah," uncrumpled it and looked at the backside, which also had his name on it.
It said, "Jim, my dearest Jim, read the fourth line on the other letter."
He ran back to the house because he didn't at this point realize still that he should just carry all of his documents with him.
The fourth line said, "Jim, I hope you realize now to carry all of your documents with you and not be so rash. I hope you still have the paternity test on you, because it is folded in a way you may not have noticed. Open it up to see the other paternity test."
Jim unfolded the paternity test in a way that it was folded was confusing to him, but since he had crumbled it up so many times, the other paternity test had fallen somewhere between his home and Rolf's home.
So he left his home again, but not before grabbing a thigh from the saffron breakfast chicken. And he slowly retraced his steps back to the house.
About 3/4 of the way back to Sam's place, he found the paternity test, and it was a match. Father, Jim. Son, Rolf.
Jim had a weird sense of relief, knowing that he wouldn't have to appear on an episode of Maury at any point in the future. But also knew that he must confront his son on this day, their birthday, the day they first met.
He stormed back into Sam's house and went to find Rolf, who was still playing with his Muppets, because that's really all he wanted to do for his birthday.
But as he was about to confront Rolf, as he raised his finger to point, from behind a curtain popped out Brucey.
Also wearing a Snoopy t-shirt and cargo pants circa early 2000s, for he had many pairs.
"I've been hiding here the whole time," Brucey said. "I pulled a real Polonius."
Story pause, nerd alert. Story resume. Peter's dying.
I'm dying. "Before you say anything, my son, know that this young child doesn't know what you know. So, let's all discuss this together.
Knowing this would be a long conversation, Jim called for a timeout, quickly ran home to grab a breast from the breakfast chicken, and ran back with a pseudo-napkin plate to catch the saffron droppings. "Proceed," Jim said when he returned back to the home.
Well, let's start with the first fact, Brucey said, which is that I am your father. Rolf didn't know why this was happening in his room.
Why is this happening in Rolf's room? The Kermit puppet asked.
"Be quiet and let them finish," Rolf said. And the Kermit Muppet draped his arms back across his Muppet body.
And then Jim said, I know that you are my father, Brucey, but I also know that I am Rolf's father.
What? Rolf said. You're my... Brucey isn't... What?
"Hey, look, kid, I'm no happier about this than you are," Jim said to Rolf. "But let the man finish, because he's saying some more stuff."
That's right. I have a lot more stuff to say, Brucey said. The first of which is that Marina has been keeping this secret for me this whole time.
You see, I'll break it down very simply so no one else here has to explain it. When I was very young, I had you, but I was too young to be a father, so your father, who is my older brother, decided to raise you as his own, as he did, and I would be your nephew. One day I would come out and be your father. Then when you were 18, you got very drunk, had sex with Marina, but she left before you woke up, you didn't remember it, then she got pregnant. Out of shame, she didn't tell you any of this, so she decided to leave, and then she had the child. And considering that you were very young, I didn't want you to live the same life that was destined for me, so I took upon me the same responsibility that your father took upon you and raised Rolf as my own. Therefore, we have both lived similar lives. You are my son, and Rolf is my grandson.
Jim nodded along. "Well, yes, I inferred all of that, but was there something else you wanted to say?"
I've been waiting on my present all day, Jim said. And I'm going to be pretty bummed if it's just the surprise that I have a kid.
Well, then why don't you go hug your son and see how you really feel? Jim went over, hugged his new son Rolf, and on the back found 3 pieces of paper.
The first of which said, "Kick me." But he tossed that paper aside and figured it was just some bully who came into the home and fastened it upon the back of Rolf's sweater. The second paper said,
Buy some locks for your house. It's really ridiculous that I've been able to break into 2 people's homes today. He didn't toss that one aside because it was good advice.
And the third paper was actually an envelope. and inside were 3 tickets to Knott's Berry Farm and a discount coupon for 80% off the chicken meal thing.
Jim tossed the 3 Knott's Berry Farm tickets onto the ground and held up the coupon for the Knott's chicken up in victorious nature, for this was the real gift.
Let's all get some of Mrs. Knott's fried chicken, Jim said, finally realizing that Rolf was also wearing a Snoopy shirt.
And as Jim had not changed from the Snoopy shirt and cargo shorts he had found in Marina's home earlier, they were all matching family and went off to have twin birthdays at the joyfulest place on earth.
Hey, Jim, Rolf said. I mean, Dad? Yes, Rolf? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you too, son, Jim said.
And they all had a wonderful day at Knott's Berry Farm and had a wonderful dinner chicken.
And with their leftovers, cemented their happy morning the next day with another round of breakfast chicken.
The end.
Yes, you can just say the
I
end
was
when
like,
it's over. Yay!
The end?
The end?
The end?
The end?
Actually, it does open itself up to a sequel.
Hey.
It does.
Question
mark.
Yeah.
Woo, boy. That was fun. Cameron, what'd you think? It was your first one.
I had a good time.
Good. She said earlier she
You
was
don't have
gonna
to
hate
convince us.
it. Yeah,
That was a crazy story.
that was.
Maybe hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back to the talking about food thing.
We're back. We
Aw.
took some time,
We took some time off.
but we're back on the chicken.
Yeah, I really want chicken now.
Yeah, I'm like really feeling chicken.
John, what did you learn today?
I will say, I think these are the
Yeah.
dumbest characters we've ever had.
Definitely the dumbest. Except for Rolf, who was surprisingly
Rolf,
competent.
yeah, Rolf had it together.
And he could do some good voices of, like, the puppets.
He's very, very modest about the voices too.
I wasn't saying me. I wasn't saying, like, I was saying
You're saying that the character took
10-year-old
over.
Oh,
for a
in
10-year-old.
in
No,
the
I'm
world.
saying for a 10-year-old.
The character that you made him with your voices.
I'm saying that a 10-year-old did surprisingly detailed voices, even if they weren't good for a 10-year-old, and kept them up. Well,
Yeah, impressive for a 10-year-old, not for a grown man.
That's all I'm saying.
The thing I got from the story is that, Peter, you'd be great friends with Rolf.
Yeah, we'd be kicking it.
You'd be hanging out with this 10-year-old boy. I got really worried at some of the points in this one. I was just like talking about the 10-year-old slowly taking off the puppets from his finger. Like, oh, okay. Anyway, what did you learn, Peter?
I went first last week. What did you learn, John?
I learned you never been to Knott's, and that you need to try Knott's chicken.
That's not story related. That's just tangential.
Okay, well, I learned that you should carry all your documents around with you. This is not just a World War II era thing.
That's true. Cameron, what did you learn today?
I learned that spices are essential for cooking a good chicken.
And sense memory.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, very good for sense memory.
I learned that there's nothing wrong with just eating a roasted chicken in the morning time. I think we all need to get back on the breakfast chicken kick. I think we've
Wait, get
left
back
it.
on?
Yeah, I
You're
think
not-
we've
You
we've
left.
abandoned. I left it. I haven't done it in my life.
A good breakfast chicken.
Hmm
It'll start your day right.
I've been eating breakfast pie the last couple of weeks.
Well, that's good too.
I hope that's not a euphemism.
Ew. Cool. Yeah, great. Hey, guess what?
What?
I got binged.
You did.
Yeah.
You could have good on you for, like, bringing that up.
I totally could have edited that out, especially given how much BS it is.
Well, yeah.
For those of you at home, you don't know, we had a major problem in the middle of recording, and we had to take about 20 minutes off right before I said that next line. So
why are you ruining the illusion of perfection that we have on
Really,
this podcast?
Peter, your memory should go past 20 minutes.
it does, but I don't think I was that far off when I was the one trying to fix the problem in the recording. Heyo.
Do that snap again. Yeah, okay. We really need to make this podcast some sort of visual component.
Yeah.
Because that was proof that Peter's been watching a lot of the new Queer Eye.
Oh, I have. That's just great. It's just great. But I don't think they snap in that. I think that's...
No, but the like aura of the snap.
Mhm.
It's definitely from the guy with the long hair.
His name is Jonathan.
Oh, that's right.
Where's
I don't know
the-
if
I
I
need
feel-
to watch it.
I
Great
don't know
name.
how I feel about that long hair. I feel like it doesn't work for him, but he's
You're doing a
into
really
it.
good job of separating yourself from the idea of being gay after that snap.
Listen, I've said some weird shit on this podcast, so it's okay. Cameron, you do need to watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I
It'll
will.
make you cry,
Okay.
which you don't expect from a reality show.
Well, yeah, you
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to do for your punishment?
We'll find out.
Oh,
I guarantee you it won't involve a 10-year-old boy.
Because that would not be punishment for you.
I feel like there'll be some Kermit puppet involved. I think something...
You got to
having
show off your talents, right?
There's got to be
Yeah.
something with some chicken, with me eating a lot of chicken in the morning time. And maybe, hey, you know what? If you vote this out there, I think I actually know what I think those are the three options. I'm gonna have to do something eating chicken, do something involving a Kermit puppet, and then this is the one I don't want to do at all. So please don't vote for this. Have to go and spend a day at Knott's Berry Farm.
Please vote for that.
Oh, man, that's such a
It's
punishment.
a real.
Oh, man.
I think
That's a real punishment.
The real punishment would be the three of us go to Knott's Chicken, except Cameron and I will be sitting by the window, and Peter will have to sit outside the entire time and do Kermit voices while not eating chicken.
That's great.
and have
actually-
to watch us.
That's like a
eat chicken.
combination of all of
Yeah.
them. It's supposed to be three different things, John.
Well,
Well,
this
if it's
way-
a tie.
Okay. I hope you guys had fun today. I had fun. I'm glad Cameron's here. So do you want to should we tell the world what our new podcast is, or should we just say keep your eyes peeled?
keep your ears fastened to your podcasts.
At the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about what we were watching. We talked about a lot of movies, right? Cameron was into movies. John's into movies.
I'm a
Clearly,
major
I'm into
cinephile.
movies. And if you at home are into movies, but you're like, man, I need, with all the thousands and thousands and thousands of movie podcasts out there, I want one that's different. Well, that's what this podcast will be about. That's all. So vote for my story punishment, vote for Les's story punishment, and watch his story punishment once it goes up on our social media platforms. Please follow us at Finish My Story Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, Finish Story Cast on Twitter. You can also email us at finishmystorypodcast@gmail. If you have any questions, our Peruvian listener stopped listening.
Oh,
That episode
man.
11.
No. Wait, like, was it a thing where, like, did this person send a message? Like,
No, they just
I'm your
were
Peruvian
downloading
listener.
every episode, and then
Oh.
at episode 12 they just stopped.
I hope they're still alive.
I
They're
hope they're
okay,
okay.
yeah.
Maybe they moved. Maybe they're in America now. Welcome back.
Do we have any, like, new Brazilian listeners?
Nope.
Okay, so that's not an option. Do we have any new Argentinian listeners?
Nope.
Okay, then it's not going to be one of those two.
Mexico.
We got him.
We got some people from Mexico,
Nice.
or maybe one person from Mexico.
Hey,
Who
yo.
So yeah, follow us there. Email us.
All
ask
your
us
cocoa
questions. I know. I love cocoa.
Mistaking this for a Coco podcast.
Oh, let's do it. What was I gonna? Oh, I had something else we need to talk about. Oh, Cameron, thank you for really pushing us towards our direction. We mentioned that we might have a real sponsor soon, and guess what, guys? It wasn't Knott's Berry Farm, but it is Knott's Berry Farm. Take that, Lunchables, Panda Express. We don't want you anymore. Knott's Berry Farm, very small sponsor that is only local to Southern California, but still.
But they serve real food, Lunchables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At me.
Yeah. Come at us. We're done with you.
No, I mean specifically on Instagram. At me.
At me. At me.
No, I'm picking a fight with Lunchables.
I get it.
I can create my own sandwich. I can also create my own fight.
I guess Knott's Berry Farm sells their cookies everywhere in the world.
Yeah, and I think they sell their
Knott's cookies.
boysenberry
Their boysenberry
jam and
cookies, they're like
stuff.
little
Yeah.
things. They're not
Yeah,
just-
you can get those anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got
Never
them.
seen
Knott's
cookies
is
around.
a national thing.
Knott's,
Knott's,
yeah,
Knott's.
I got Knott's in the East Coast, in Boston, where I'm from.
Yeah, no, you can find them in vending machines near you.
Oh, okay. No, I know.
Knott's
what you're
Berry
talking
Farm. It's a theme park, but also a food maker.
Yeah,
about. Food maker.
food maker.
You come up with a better slogan right now. Go.
Knott's Berry Farm. It's not just a California thing.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah.
Knott's Berry Farm. We're the best. At me, Disneyland.
And they're right next to each other too, man. It sucks
Yeah.
to be Knott's.
No, because I was driving up from Irvine today, and you see Disneyland, and then you see Knott's. It's like,
It's like, oh, great, pretty good.
Hey, again, I will tell you, shut up. I used to have a annual pass to Disneyland when I was going to Chapman, and I still miss Knott's. Is the one I think about more often.
really, Knott's is Not Scary Farm is prime.
I go about every year.
Nice.
Well, we'll save that for our Halloween episode.
But that's so far away.
Unless it's tomorrow if you're listening in October.
Or if you're listening in Peru.
They have their
Peruvian Halloween.
every March.
You guys don't know about Peruvian Halloween in late March? No?
Anything else you guys need to add?
Do you want to tell people where to find you?
Oh, yeah.
Cameron?
Oh yeah, like Instagram,
Like whatever you want,
Yeah,
your social media.
find me
on the map.
Find me on Instagram on I don't even know my own handle. It's Cam Hope, CamHope. That's my name. Find me on Twitter, CamHope329.
Ooh,
Yeah,
329th camera.
I tweet a lot, and I
does.
think I'm funny. So
We do too.
So give me a follow.
We often think she is funny.
And you'll hear more of her coming up soon. We'll have more details next week or next time you hear us.
You'll learn more about it. There's something working. There's something in the depths.
And I think that's all. Have a great rest of your time feeding the ducks. I'm sure you're out there feeding ducks right now at the park, and I'm very proud of you. Sometimes ducks need to be fed. It's a very soothing exercise to do. It's something that we actually used to do on
Are you
Rosh
like
Hashanah.
85?
On Rosh Hashanah growing up, as we would go and we would feed the ducks. It was like a thing. And we eat the apples and honey. And so I'm very proud of you for like just living your life and enjoying feeding the ducks. If you're not feeding ducks right now, stop what you're doing. Go feed some ducks, and
Find a
then
pond.
listen to this podcast because it'll have a secret meeting if you're feeding the ducks. Yeah,
And have a great Halloween.
Mexican Peruvian Halloween.
Peruvian Halloween.
Peruvian Halloween.
Woo! Bye, guys. Again. Oh wait. Again, I'm Peter.
Oh, I'm John.
And I'm Cameron.
Have a great time.